Hey, it's me, Jimmy D, and welcome back to the Knights of the Geek Table. Today we're here to talk about No Man's Sky.
It sucks!
This is Soul, and here's John with us today. So let's figure out where we want to start. Let's just bring up the ratings first.
Okay, so for right now, we got two of the bigger scores. So IGN gave it a 6 out of 10, and then on Metacritic, this is for the PS4, the reviewers gave it a 71, and the users gave it a 4.8.
Out of 5, I assume? Like a 4.8 out of 5?
Or
No, I think
4.8 out of 10.
I think it's 10.
It's
I'll double
probably
check
10.
that.
Yeah, it's probably
I didn't even
10.
think about it when I wrote it down. I think it's 10,
Yeah.
but I'll double check.
Yeah.
The IGN one kind of surprises me because you figure as much as they overhyped No Man's
IGN
Sky,
had all the pre-release
all the
YouTube
pre-release
videos
date
and-
stuff. They had the giant tutorial bosses on how to find this, how to do this, where this is. They like the 57-minute. Tink you.
I don't know that.
Hey, okay, my God.
I'm just saying you were cutting out when you were doing your hand motion.
Whatever. The 57-minute video on the first mission and whatnot. Which, so it's really funny to me that they gave it a 6 out of 10 when you would have figured, okay, as big as controversial as IGN has gone with critics for scores, why this didn't get something like an 8 or an 8.5 or even a 9? Which everyone else, it's okay. Bottom line, everyone I think has kind of agreed that the game is bullshit. It's not what we were promised.
Like I said earlier, No Man's Sky is a mile wide, but only a few feet deep. Because
bullshit.
It has so just the cover itself. It has so much potential and so much promise, and really a game like that, if done right, would be mind blowing. But after 2 hours, you're done.
You realize
Because it's all repeat.
Yeah, because if I wanted to mine and look for materials,
You play Minecraft.
I play Minecraft. I've played Minecraft. I have fun in Minecraft. I didn't pay $60 for Minecraft.
Minecraft is what?
$20. It's 10, I think, on Xbox Live.
Yeah.
I think what happened, I think it's out of 10, it doesn't say, but it wouldn't make sense if it was 4.8 out of 100.
Or 5.
Or at least, unless some people get really angry on Metacritic.
Which has happened for games that it does not deserve.
Yeah. I think the tragedy that is No Man's Sky is kind of twofold. First of all, yes, they lied. And second of all, it's because I believe the studio that made Hello Games, I think there were like 15 people that made this game.
Damn.
So I think what it was they were like, as it gained hype, and they were kind of telling half-truths, I think the hype got to a point where they were like, we could correct them and say no, however,
Do you want this game to sell?
Exactly.
I'm about to say, do you know how much money we would be losing if we told them
Legit.
no?
The first on release day, I happened to be at Target and I was just going to go check out the game.
Yeah.
And it was completely sold out, and Target had 3 racks for it.
Oh, yeah.
It was completely sold out.
Do you know what this game reminds me of? Do you remember the game Destiny?
Yeah.
Oh,
How
yeah.
big of a fucking hype Destiny was? Like, this was gonna be the shit. This was like if you combine the Borderlands, plus every MMO, plus your favorite first-person shooter, and then people played 15 hours in and they realized, fuck, I don't want to play this.
Speaking of which, you want to get the new DLC? It comes out in like a couple weeks.
No.
Like when they announced the new DLC for Destiny, I was like, Jesus Christ, how long has it been? Like 2 years since
Yeah.
Destiny?
Yeah, but now the whole thing with Destiny is like, okay, it's been 2 years. Guess what? And people are coming like, yeah, but now the game's fun. It's playable. You can totally check it out
took
now.
2 fucking
It took
years.
2 fucking years. That's what it's going to be with No Man's
And
Sky.
also, it's like, if I were to buy it now, I'd kind of been okay, but I bought it when it was released, so I paid $60 for it, and I don't want to pay another 140 for the DLC or some shit.
It also reminds me of remember when Elder Scrolls decided to do online?
Oh yeah,
And how big of a fucking botch that is. But now, if you pick it up on Steam for $39.99, not a plug, it's totally playable. Because trust me, I've thought about it.
Well, I also think coming back to No Man's Sky, I honestly think, like what we just said about letting the hype train go because why not? It sells games. I also think there was a good portion of that game that I think they fully intended to do. I mean, just being a small group and saying, hey, yeah, we could do that, and they kind of just said they were going to, and then when crunch time came, they were like, oh shit, I guess we can't do this. And
I don't know. I have a funny feeling. I have a feeling that they're going to. but it's going to be, yeah, but like we got this new DLC, like the Wrath of the Star King, and oh yeah, while we're doing that Wrath of the Star King, here's these faction medals you kind of wanted in the game.
Well, I don't know. I don't think it's.
It's not a complete disaster, but
oh god, no! I've seen complete disasters.
Well, if they had advertised it, what it is just a space survival game that you mine and shit. There's plenty of those out there. If they had advertised it like that, I mean, it wouldn't really be a problem.
No,
as a game like that, it's not terrible if you look at it from that way.
But there's games like that have multiplayer,
and it's so much better.
And this game, I don't think, honestly, I think they didn't think people were going to find galaxies.
With 18 quintillion planets?
They're never going to find out. So,
but then the internet happened. They were like, "Well, shit, we put in a fucking search function. Look,
it wasn't even 24 hours. People found each other.
No.
Well, they didn't find each other, but they found each other. Yeah. Like they found where they're supposed to be. They planned it, got there, and no one's there.
And it's interesting. It's funny to see how like the real hardcore No Man's Sky fans try to kind of bend over backwards to like defend it for these things. For example, I was at GameStop, and one of the GameStop employees. My friends and I were talking about this exact thing when they met up and they couldn't see each other, and obviously it was BS. And the guy behind the counter was like, he was trying, I forgot exactly what he said, but he was trying to explain using real science.
It was like you're not in the same day.
Well, it was because you're traveling faster than the speed of light, your time is different from one another, so you get there at a different... That's where we were like, okay. That's what he was trying to say.
Dude. Like, really? No, don't throw some bullshit at me.
That man had two things. He was probably a No Man's Sky fanboy, and he was also trying to sell that game.
Well, he's trying to put so much cream. The planets don't even fucking rotate like they said they would. Like they just they're static.
They said
no, it's gonna be like when remember when episode 1 of The Phantom Menace came out? How everyone was on the camera like this is the greatest movie ever. We're all gonna love it. Then we kept going back week after week.
Star Wars goes, hey, we're gonna do NASCAR sponsorship for 3 races.
And then we were all like, this is amazing. And then we slowly started realizing, like, maybe this wasn't such a good idea.
But that's almost, it's interesting because back then, The Phantom Menace, when was that? 1999?
99.
The internet wasn't as big, so it's interesting to see kind of how that was on a macro scale, also how slow it was, because it took people a longer time to realize that Phantom Menace isn't that great. But it's funny to see how No Man's Sky took, less than a week before people were like...
It was really 3 days.
3 days. Okay.
If that. Because once... people discovered there was no multiplayer. Once people got on planets and like the creatures were entirely made up of ass, like their body was ass, their hands were made of ass.
If you read the marketing, and this is interesting, so I got these two from 2 different places. So this first section is just what the marketing material says, not what the interview of like the guy in charge of the Hello Games who lied, but just what the marketing material is, which is 18 quintillion planets. They are. You can explore space. That's in there.
Yep.
You mine. Oh, yes, you do. You do a lot of mining. And then you can learn languages and interact with aliens. Technically, you can do that.
But technically.
But that's what the advertising material says. Now, if you go to the interviews, like, for example, Sean Murray, who's the head of Hello Games, he said that there would be...
I'm sorry, Sean, we're going to get to fucking you in a minute, because I have a fucking problem with you.
He said that,
because you're a fucking liar.
That there were factions that you could interfere with, there isn't. Let's see, that the planets would rotate as a day-night cycle, there isn't. He said that there would be multiplayer, there isn't.
No.
Let's see. He didn't mention that, of course, it is pretty much just a big survival game like on Steam. The NPCs, like, I remember I was watching an interview
it's more, sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but it's more of a survival game than Rust is.
Yeah.
Like, Rust, you build shit and all, and you get the materials to survive, but there's a point in it where you're fine. You don't really, it's more of, oh, let me go shoot these people and join up with people, versus this, where you're constantly have to get stuff. Like, the only reason you go to a planet is to get more stuff.
Exactly. And one of the things, it's interesting because they really bet on that so much that, for example, I was listening to, it was a reviewer, I think I was reading it on like PC Gamer or something like that, where they mentioned that, it was a list of stuff that you can improve No Man's Sky with, and one of the ones was that, for example, you know how like all the asteroids that float around have thamium in it, so you can fuel your.
That's the only reason people shoot them.
Well, the thing is, it's like, you know, they made it so that it's a thing that you have to refuel, but then they made it so that like they realized that people might run out, so they just put it everywhere so you can get it. And it's like, why didn't you just make it so you didn't have to refuel it? If you know, it like ruins the point. Anyway, so Schoenberg said that there'd also be, you know, complex NPCs in the sense that he in an interview.
The NPCs, that is.
Yeah, he said that you could like see the trade routes and like, you know, going back and forth from the space station.
You mean of the same guy that you see in the same spot running the different 4 ships?
Exactly. And then
This NASCAR has better NPCs in one of the like PlayStation 2 games where the NPCs will get out their car and come fight you.
What the fuck, man?
And then the last thing is, he didn't really say it, but it's interesting how he avoided the question on every
phrased it.
That there's no real plot. Now, technically, there's the Atlas plot. Technically,
the
that
plot
wasn't
to get to the
added
big.
but the thing is, when you frame it that there are these, you know, multiple factions and big cargo ships and trade routes,
There's a plot.
You assume
There's a plot.
Yeah.
The plot is that you need to get to the main center of the universe. You know, to the giant center, and there's going to be this amazing, godlike surprise. And spoilers, because do we want to fucking spoil what the hell that damn surprise is?
I don't know what the surprise
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Oh my god. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what the fuck the spoilers are, the surprise is, at the end of the fucking universe, you go all across the galaxy, going from planet to planet, collecting resources, and then you finally reach the center. And then the camera just pans out. And it continues to go.
You set a course for the center, like the light in the middle. You go to jump, and then the camera just like the music plays, and the camera just zooms out. And then you start over in a new galaxy after that.
You start over a new galaxy, and it does that for a good 2 minutes, and the music keeps getting louder, like it's this godlike thing that all praise.
There's nothing in the center.
No, and when you pop up in the new galaxy,
no sun, none.
No.
When you pop up in the new galaxy, you find yourself on a planet with a crashed ship, having to do it all over again. And then you do it all over again, and you start in a new galaxy.
And guess what? There's been a guy, and you would think, okay, that's fine. It's fine. I'll just do it all over again. It'll be a totally different thing. It'll be like, you know, ghouls and goblins. Or ghosts and goblins.
Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I got to the center.
Yeah, it'd be like ghosts and goblins. Your princess
time.
is not in another castle, beat the game over again, but this time it'll be like hard mode, and you'll get the reward. So you do that. They've already tested that. There's a guy, I don't know his fucking name, but I applaud you for doing this, who he did it 11 times.
Yeah, that's the same guy that I saw, yeah.
And it's the same thing.
He must be in high school, because anybody who
It's stupid, because even if it was a princess was in another castle, I mean, that's 10 hours to do it again.
Yeah.
And it's like...
So you figure he's put over 1,100 hours in the game. And that's just getting to the main story alone. That doesn't even include, because you know it takes more than just 10 hours to, because you gotta go to different planets, and you gotta get fuel, you gotta unlock the stuff for the hyperdrive. Yeah. So we're talking, this dude probably put over 2,000 hours for nothing. $60 game in 2016, people.
There's cheaper games that are better than that.
Dishonored, guess what? Yes, the game in 2016. It's $9.99 on Steam. That's better than this.
Oh, Dishonored is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's funny too, because like how
You're
just how
fucking
popular it
liar.
was. Because I was reading an article. First of all, No Man's Sky on the PS4 is the second highest launch they've ever had. It was the only highest launch they had was Uncharted 4.
Well, yeah, it's Uncharted.
The thing is, they also
That was
that's in the
Naughty
UK,
Dog,
excuse me. That's specifically in the UK.
Okay.
And then, from what I read in the article I was reading, I think it was PC Gamer, the sales went down 81% on the second week in the UK.
Yeah.
So
this was Batman versus Superman, but game form.
No. This was Batman versus Superman combined with Batman and Robin divided by...
okay, this is Batman and Robin if it had a Batman versus Superman release.
The sad thing with Batman and Robin, since you bring it up, was I was actually surprised just how many people actually liked that movie.
I watched it so much.
My
as a
sister,
kid.
for example, like the other day, she told me that, you know, like she brought up Batman movies, and she said, what was the one before that? Batman Forever, and then Batman and Robin, which were by Joel Schumacher.
Yeah.
She was like, those are my favorite Batman movies, and I'm like, what?
But the thing, like, they're not.
Meanwhile, Heath Ledger just rolling in his grave.
I
like, this is some bullshit.
Honestly, I probably watched Batman and Robin over 100 times. Because one, it came out when I was a little kid.
I
And
watched it.
it was Batman, and
Well, the thing is, when you were a kid, I know this now especially. Like, for example, I loved the prequels when I was a kid for Star Wars. Because when you're a kid, you don't really, you don't have the mind to be a critic, you know, you just kind of see it. When I was a kid, I didn't even know there was such a thing as criticizing a movie, because it was a movie. You went to the theater, it's this big thing, and it's like...
it was either good or bad.
Exactly. And even then, even the bad movies, I was like, I didn't feel that bad about it, because it was some special event that I went to.
And here's the thing, back in the day when the prequels came out, you wasn't just a kid, it was everybody. I remember watching a really old kind of like interview that E! Entertainment did, when they went to go interview people outside of the Phantom Menace, and it was, oh my god, what did you think of the movie? I love this movie, it was great, I think little Anakin Skywalker was it, and it did that for a good 25 minutes. I had eventually watched the whole thing, because there was this one dude who was
honest,
who was thinking what we're all thinking now. I didn't like it. Nope. I didn't like it. I think, I demand a refund and whatnot.
Well, that's the thing.
And I was watching the thing like, back in the day, that guy is no longer existing. He was lynched.
But the thing is, all those movies came out before really internet.
I know.
Well, on the Phantom Menace, think of it this way. One of the things I always thought was actually kind of genius, I don't think this is on purpose, but what is the last thing an audience sees in the Phantom Menace before the movie ends? What is the last, sequence? It's the lightsaber fight with Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan. That's the best part of that entire movie. And it's the last thing you see.
So if you leave the movie...
You leave the movie with that awesome thing, and if somebody asks what'd you think, you're like, oh yeah, I just saw that badass lightsaber fight, so they're probably...
Which is the exact opposite Batman and Superman did. What's the last thing you see when you leave? Fucking Superman in a grave.
And it's funny because you mentioned those before the internet came out, and there's actually, God, I can't remember where it was from. There's these guys that are coming out with a documentary soon, and it's pretty much talking about the prequels and saying that it's not as bad as people think.
It's not. It's really not.
It's not, to be
it's
fair.
Not.
But one of the bigger points was back then, still, like you were saying, people liked it more back then. Even as they kind of realized, they still liked it more. And it was really when the internet hit, and the majority of, I guess you would say, either Star Wars fans or critics were like, it's just not good. Then everyone was
it was the known thing to hate it. I know this because back in 2007, when I first just prowling around on YouTube, I was a part of the anime community on YouTube here. And one of the big things, there were 3 shows that everyone loved to fucking talk about. One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach. Now, you don't watch these, whatever. Roll with me here, okay? Everyone in America loved fucking Naruto. Like, that was the thing to watch. It was the thing to
watch. Because Disney played it.
Well, no. This Toonami played it, but that was the thing. It blew
what was that? It was what Disney XD is now.
Yeah, right.
That played it.
Right, that too. But it blew the fuck up. Bleach was kind of just a thing that you watched, but One Piece was huge over in Japan. Like, it still is huge there now. It's not like I'm saying, oh, it died down in popularity. No, it fucking didn't. But back in 2007, when the community was first coming around, it was a known thing that if you fucking liked One Piece, you got shitted on. And I don't mean like shitting on like, oh, well, you like One Piece, you're a fucking loser. No, I mean like, bitch, get the fuck out. We will skin you alive and hang you.
I haven't seen One Piece. From what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, isn't there like a huge disparity between the sub and the dub?
Yes. Oh my god, that's been the fucking shit since 2006 and 7 when it first became popular. It is now in 2016, and if you go to Funimation's website when they do the trailer releases for like the latest season they're dubbing, you will still get some dumbass who posts a fucking comment. Oh god, dub sounds terrible. First of all, dipshit, it's been out for fucking, let's see, since 2007. Second, if it is the 8th season and you are still bitching about the dub, get a fucking life. It's not going to change. They're not going to change 8 seasons in and be like, nope, the internet was right. We need to not dub this.
They can always pull a Full Metal Alchemist where they did the original series and then came back and then did Brotherhood. They did it all over again.
But that's the thing. One Piece is still constantly, it's still ongoing.
Yeah, that still is. It's funny. It's interesting because Naruto, I remember when that was on, that was probably my first, introduction to anime, because I had seen Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, but those are, they're anime, but they're not, especially
everyone's first introduced to anime was Toonami, which I could talk for hours about this shit.
Yes, I could probably do. But anyway, we got off topic.
We went so far off topic.
Because No Man's Sky is a piece of fucking shit. Let's just call it as it is.
To bring back, No Man's Sky. What's his face? The guy who made it.
Sean Murray's the
Sean
creator
Murray.
of Hello Games.
Liar.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't like you,
I have
Sean.
to say something though. He made it on Stephen Colbert.
Oh yeah, I saw it. I didn't know
Yeah.
that until the other day. I
Yeah,
saw that.
I was
just
like-
playing it.
What game developer has made it onto a late night?
Well,
Just a talk show in general.
Well, Conan does his
Yeah,
idiot
his
gamer
game
stuff.
thing, but it's just him and the white hair dude.
Well, but it's just how popular it
Yeah,
got.
the
and
hype
it's-
got so big. It
and
wasn't even a hype train.
And the sad, it was like it was a.
I was like a spaceship.
I've yet to see the Col-
It was a
I've
It
yet
was a
to-
hype
spaceship.
continent that moved in
Yeah.
mass. You couldn't
I've
stop
yet,
it.
to, I've yet to see the Colbert thing, so I can't really judge it for itself to see if
Well,
it's like if it
Just
truly
the fact
is
alone that he was a guest.
right, but but that could always be a PR stunt. You don't really
Yeah.
know if it's because Steven really does like the fucking game,
I don't think so.
or if it's
Probably
because it's a PR stunt.
Well, the thing, what I think it boils down to is this: Hello Games is still even though it's a $60 game released PS4, it's still an indie game, and the group's only 15 people. All it is, all of this fallout, all of this hate for it is simply because it's
Because
a group of
people
15
realizing
people.
what
It's a group
it
of
actually
15
is.
people that were like, "Hey, we're gonna make this cool game," and then everybody plus they had PlayStation's marketing team that was just out there marketing.
Oh
it.
my
It's
god,
just-
it was on everything. No, the week up to the release, I believe that was the only ad that played on Markiplier and Jacksepticeye. Like, I believe that is the only ad that ever played.
It was like when Destiny came out. That's all they fucking. That's
Yeah.
what they
Well,
have.
I think
promoted.
Destiny is a different thing, but
Yeah,
I
but-
can tell you why.
But this is PlayStation advertising it.
Basically, if it was the exact same game, and even if he pulled all the same bullshit, but if it was a game that was a small indie game like it should have been on Steam, this wouldn't have happened.
Oh no.
If it really would.
Personally, I still think the game's shit. I still don't like you.
Well, what is? I'm interested because I haven't played it specifically, so I can't give my score. But you guys have played it, so
I
what
played it in a
what would you
Walmart.
give it as a score, like out of 10, say?
Out of 10?
Honestly-
Okay. Here's the thing. Out of 10, well, my honest opinion, if you were just to classify the first 15 hours of honestly exploring and honestly going to the world, like, holy shit, I'm actually doing this, I would legitimately give this an 8.5 or a 9. I would. The first 15 hours, I had a ton of fucking fun. Okay, even though I was playing with a friend, we had a ton of fucking fun. We were like, dude, this is amazing, this is great. It was once we realized that we kept going, we kept going past it and realizing there's not really much to do, that kind of dwindled. And then when you realize the kind of payoff at the ending, it's just.
I played it from like 30 minutes to an hour at Walmart. They had it displayed. And first of all, I was like, Walmart has this displayed, but
And that's
a marketing
interesting,
thing.
too.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, but it's
No.
funny because you've only played it for 30 minutes, and it's like, this is the best thing ever, and you pick it up and then you go home.
But
and it's
I
like,
played it for
it's
30
the same thing.
minutes, and I was like, because I played it for a while in that 30 minutes, because someone had already built the ship, so
Okay, that's what I was asking.
so I was just in a galaxy, and I warped, and I went to like 3 different galaxies in that 30 minutes and all, and I was like, I'm doing the same thing, and I was like, there's nothing else to do, and like I was like, okay, and I stayed on one planet, and I did, for the last thing I did was stay on one planet and tried to get all the knowledge stones to
Well,
learn the language, and I went around the planet, and I got quite a few, and I went to the person, and it only showed 3 words that I knew, and I was like, this is shit. Like, and I only played it for an hour and 30 minutes, and I was like, oh my god, like, I mean, this was just a display, which I was surprised to see it displayed, and it was like in a Walmart I go to that's in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, I know, and because the thing is, well, you're gonna get blown away for 30 minutes. So hey, like you said, pick
For
up
the first 5
$60.
minutes, I was like, oh my god, this is awesome, but then
It's that, like I said, it's that. I didn't mean first 15 hours. Oh
No.
God, no. I mean like the first hour or two, you say, holy shit, this is amazing, this is great. Then you start to, then the fade starts to wash away, and it's just.
So overall, what I've played, what I've seen, and all, and read, I want to give the game.
You gotta give it a letter grade, remember, because that's how we grade things.
Letter grade. Honestly, C- is that. Like it passes,
Okay.
but it's not good enough to. It's almost not good enough for college credit. Let's just say that.
I gotta go with the thing because I was a little bit more hyped than you. I legitimately was.
Yeah.
I was a lot more hyped than you. Because I was watching all the interviews, I was watching the videos, and I was so hyped. And then just playing and just realize how much of a piece of shit it was, and how much. I mean, I don't like the guy. I don't like the creator.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for the team. I admit what the team is an amazing accomplishment for 15 fucking people.
For 15 people, that's
not. Oh my god, dude. Just put this on your resume and go anywhere else. You will get fucking hired. I promise you that.
Yeah.
But if I had to give it a fucking letter grade, this shit just pissed me the fuck off. This is getting an F. This is straight up getting an F.
It's an F?
It's a fucking F.
It's not a dog shit?
Like no, it's not a dog shit. Oh, Arrow.
It's an F? It actually got a grade?
It is an F.
Okay.
Okay? And I'm also, I think you're a lot, I think if you played more than just...
If I played more,
it would be a lower grade.
It would be lower. But I'm seeing the potential that was in it.
I mean, I spent an entire 2 days at a friend's house playing this fucking game, and we both admitted we asked each other multiple fucking times, yo man, you want to play Overwatch? Hey man, you want to watch you want to watch you want to watch some Netflix? Dude, let's go run up to Taco Bell. There was nothing really
keeping you there.
Keeping me there.
Yeah.
Even with Minecraft, I can kind of get lost for 2 hours to start building something.
And then you're like, oh, I'm hungry.
I'm hungry, you leave, and you come back a week later. Okay.
Yeah. But
it's an F.
Any final
Well,
words?
I think it's... I look at it in a sense that I'm actually kind of almost more optimistic now, because you'd mentioned the potential.
Yeah.
If Hello Games now were to come back...
And apologize.
If they were to, apologize...
Which they're not going to.
Or
Because they made too much fucking money.
I don't know. I think
they still might apologize.
I think they might do it. If Sean Murray gets enough shit, I think he would, at least if he doesn't apologize, at least it's not formally, something like that.
Yeah.
He's not going to apologize. He's going to say that he addresses the problems that are into it, and we're working on fixing it. That's basically code for during these next few DLCs, we're going to secretly throw up patches that we're saying are fixing bugs, when in actuality that's adding shit that was supposed to be in there.
Well, they've actually done that, which mostly fixing what they said is fixing bugs. And it seemed to actually fix some stuff on PC. But you're right, they already said that they're going to bring in DLC for trader ships, like they said they were going to in the beginning and things like that. But what I'm interested in is seeing that now they have a template. And it should be interesting, because the problem with No Man's Sky is because they have this huge 18 quintillion vast universe, and they didn't do anything with it.
Yep.
You just run around. Now, if you can now take that and then overlay it with, say, something that actually has a narrative and more things like that, and then just, if you're not, for example, it's kind of like one of the Elder Scrolls games. If you're not doing the main story or some of the bigger side quests, you can go off, and then you have this giant,
I think you could do that, just tone it down a bit. We don't need 18 quintillion planets.
If I don't, sorry to relate it to another NASCAR game, but with the new
fucking NASCAR.
I just developer side, because the people who are building this new NASCAR game are a brand new company, ground up built, that got the NASCAR license. They built some PS2 and PS NASCAR games way back in the day that weren't the EA titles or nothing. But they straight up said, hey, we don't have caution replays. When you get a caution, you're not going to be able to see what happened unless you were in it and actually witness it for yourself, because we just haven't been able to do that yet. This version of the game, it might come in, they said it might come in an update. This version, on release day, you won't have a paint booth to make a custom car. And all. And they've explained all these things that we've had in previous games, but we won't get in this one because they're a brand new team and they're working on it. They said it's not never coming, but it's not going to be released yet.
They're at least addressing the problem.
They're addressing the problem.
The problem with No Man's Sky
No Man's Sky Group would have done that.
No, but here's my problem where I think they're wrong. Okay, I know you love NASCAR.
Yeah.
You bleed fucking NASCAR. The problem is that No Man's Sky had grown so much fucking hype.
Yeah.
They would have gotten so much shit had they admitted the fact that, hey, guys, look, I know we promised all this stuff, and I'm not saying it's not coming, but this will not be here, this will not be here, This will not be here because as soon as they admit this, there's going to be a bunch of people who are saying, yeah, that reserve I put for like the Legendary Edition and like all the DLC I put on reserve. Yeah, take that off. I don't want the game anymore.
Well, to be fair, I don't think No Man's Sky has a season pass that you could buy.
Yeah.
You could pre-order it, and I have my own thing with pre-orders, but
Pre-orders, yay!
But I don't know. I think I'd be okay if Hello Games came out with a sequel. Now, having said that, I think now if they did it again, of course, people are going to be a lot more scrutinized.
They're going to be they're going to be old. They're going to be so much more.
Even if they haven't already learned not to do that again, they couldn't do it anyway because people would be so much on their ass.
Right. Yeah. I think I believe it or not, I am looking forward and do have faith in this company because I believe that despite who the fuck they're lead by, because I'm sorry, like I said, I just don't like the guy. He's proven to me numerous times on why I don't freaking like him. But the actual developers, I think they have a lot of talent. This is a really good, legitimate, I think, promising studio. I think you should start with a smaller game. Don't do like an open world game. Just create a smaller game. Prove us to you that, hey, you can still create something on a smaller level that's still amazing, and then let's start working on it.
I agree with you, but I also think that if you look at No Man's Sky as a template, it's better.
It's oh my god, if you have other studios who want to copy off of No Man's Sky to create something.
Not even other companies. The company now, Hello Games, if they just use No Man's Sky as the bare minimum template or a base game, and they're like, okay, let's add this.
Well, yeah, exactly. So now all you do is you take, for example, you said you don't need 18 quintillion planets. I agree. If you narrow that down, I don't know, maybe
so say a billion.
I would say 1,000. Still, yeah, maybe a billion or something.
A billion.
What that does also, I think it also would create more diverse planets because you have all these different variables that are spread out across the planets. If you narrow it in, each planet has more stuff on it, makes it more diverse. And then you overlay an actual narrative and have those factions, have those trainings and stuff. If you do that, I think this would have been a much better game.
Yeah.
This should have probably had, if you gave it 2 more years of development time, and with the information they know. What? 2 more. That's what I'm saying. They had 2 years development time, so 4 years total. That might have been better, but okay.
But
this makes me worried because what's that game that everybody? The Last Guardian. Remember how that game's pretty much been in developmental hell for 5 or 6 years, and we're finally getting a release date?
No, I don't know about this one.
Okay, well, there's
a
game
one with the big griffin thing.
It's from the same dudes who did Shadow of the Colossus.
Okay.
But that game's been in developmental hell for 5 or 6 years, and it's finally getting a release date. And everyone's like, oh, it's probably on the level of No Man's Sky hype, okay? Because everyone's like, we fucking need this, we need this, we want this. I have a really fear of what if that
I don't really even put because I used to have that opinion of kind of how what you're implying is that, if it's in development hell, chances are it's probably not going to be good because we've seen that before with
or has the hype, or even if it is good, even if it is good, the hype is still going to be well, maybe it's not all that we thought it was, even though it's still a good game.
I think I don't know because I have mixed feelings with games like that because I know, for example, Aliens Colonial Marines was complete garbage and that was in development hell. However, the new Doom was also in development hell, but actually was pretty good.
It's a badass game. So go buy it.
So I don't know. I don't really. I just stopped researching. I'm just gonna basically try to stay away from forums and stuff. Avoid the hype. Yeah. Just look at what they've been doing.
The only reviews I kind of watch are very certain kind of reviewers from people on the internet.
Yeah.
Because these are guys that you kind of know on the internet by now who's paid off, who's not, who's going to give you their honest opinion, who's not going to bullshit you and say, look, here's the thing, the game's shit or the game's an actual average game. It's not a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. It's about a 7 out of 10 game. It's not bad, okay, but it's still a good game.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for watching. This is Soul, this is John, and we will see you in the next video. Later.